going to do a resist effect now using the aqua markers. So for this I've got a stamp, and I'm using a clear embossing stamp or pad, ink pad, sorry. So with the clear embossing pad, just going over my stamp, and we will ink that onto our cardstock. Sheila's cardstock again. Okay, so that's now stamped onto there. Put that to one side, and then I'm going to cover that with some clear embossing powder. You could use clear, you could use white, you could use a colour if you want to. The choice is entirely yours. Don't know what I've got there in my embossing powder. Fleck, we'll take that out. So just take that off there, and then pour that back into there. This is a great technique. You can use it for backgrounds, you can use it for images, so it's a really nice technique to use. Just pop the lid on that before that goes flying everywhere. We'll heat this up. It soon starts to turn. Do its thing. As I say, you can do this for backgrounds or for stamping words, anything you like really. So that's now taken that. Move the ink pad out the way as well. Get a piece of paper towel. I'm just going to wipe my board because obviously I don't want to get embossing powder in the inks. And this time I'm going to use number 53, and that's from the Beautifully Grunge selection. That's the nice bright pink one, so I think that'll show up quite nicely on the camera. And we're going to go straight from the bottle, so I'm using my big brush. Let me just wash the colour off there. This was the colour I'd used on this brush, but I will just make sure it's clean. That's it, that's all off. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do a colour wash, so it's nice and bright, so it will show up on the camera hopefully. And what you'll see is where I've used the embossing powder, it acts as a resist against the aqua tints. So it's a great technique to use, like many of these techniques. So I could just smother that in colour. Pop the lid on there before we knock that over. Wipe that off the board. Let's just come in with a bit of water. Get rid of that. I get a piece of clean paper towel, and I'm now just going to wipe off where the embossing is. So that's showing you how to do a resist effect, which, as you can see with the bright colour over the top, shows up really well. You could also use this with the graduated colour with the resist underneath. I mean, the possibilities are endless with this technique. It's a lovely technique to use. So that just shows you can use your embossing powder and your pads and do a resist technique with your aqua tints too.